Okay. Most times when we talk about government, we associate government with service delivery. And then, for instance, in the point of view of education, there's a perception that AI might make our children lazy. They don't no longer leverage on their own. The essence of education is to develop the ability of a child for critical, rational thinking. So we're coming back again to Project DevOps and all that. I agree, Ayo, that to a certain extent, we should moderate how schools, individuals leverage on you not taxing in on your brain, but just going straight to the AI. How do you think that works? Because you see, when you turn on to social media now, Chat GPT is everywhere, all over the place. And some countries are having a lot of restriction on what that content is. But we do also know that if you don't groom the Nigerian young adults from this stage, we might not get to the future we want to be. How do you think, from your point of view, we could do all that and still achieve so much while keeping the balance on the ability of the individual to think?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, and I think that's the challenge, not just to in the education sector for children, it also it's something that applies almost in every other field. For instance, if I'm someone in university, year one, and I'm interested in software engineering, and I want to learn to code in C or Python or any of the other languages. Now I could take the easy shortcut and say, okay, I know what I want to build. I want to build a fantastic app. I'll go to ChatGPT, build me this using Python and all of that, or any other language, low-code solutions. Now, that will get me to market faster, or I will be able to develop something. But then I've skipped a very key stage in being able to tweak the application, being able to learn, being able to build something from scratch, knowing exactly what I want from AI. So there's the aspect where if a child is not exposed to the rudimentary aspect, being able to do simple mathematics, being able to do simple arithmetics and all of that, they will miss out on the key development that for them would really be required for them to be able to then even use the AI efficiently. AI would help us with decision making. It will help us with improve effectiveness, but it will not help us in developing if we choose not to develop. So there's that aspect where when calculators were invented, even most schools still have that policy. They won't allow their children to have calculators in classrooms. They will still allow them to use the rudimentary method to get the answers. Computers are tools that we can use when we have already known, at least learned the basics, what we need to achieve. But if we substitute that, then we get to the problem where somehow we will just rise, and after a while, we don't have the background or the base to support where we're going. So I think schools and government and organizations would now need to put guardrails in place. And these guardrails are supposed to support the learning process to ensure that you are using the tools to enable yourself, but also not to skip in the rudimentary learning process, which is important and which applies in every field. In what I do as well, and because I can go on ChatGPT, for instance, and say, build me an infrastructure code in Terraform to be able to spin up some servers in AWS, for instance. It will do that very well, and I can use that. But then I would not be able to tweak that. DevOps, for instance, is going to the phase where you are supposed to be able to architect and build platforms. But for someone that is still cheating or using tools like that, then you will not be able to reason above the tool. So it's important to be able to see that aspect and distinguish learning from a skipping process.
That's love. I love the fact that you are a Nigerian, you've schooled in Nigeria, you have this much experience about what school was like. You're an artist. And today we are excited. Welcome back home with a lot of this knowledge transfer we're talking about.
Yep.
In Abuja, you'll find it is very common that the hype we have in most of our schools is that we do coding, whatever that is, you know. And so relating what we're talking about here now to the young child who has a computer and who everything we parents here, especially those within school, is Coding is now the official IT thing that we all do in Abuja. If you have a word for us talking about what we just heard, and the fact that I recall the minister, the immediate past minister for State for Education, said something when we're talking about this competition part of it, and we're talking about vocational trade, which for those who don't know actually, vocational trade subjects are mandatory in Nigeria. And so every child is required to build livelihood skill. And so in the domain of livelihood skill, you'll find that irrespective of what you choose, you still have to be able to cope with your day-to-day life, just to break it down to the one that makes sense. So if I am not part of those who are the nerds and the IT who are doing coding or conventional old computers as we have them, how should these livelihood skills we are talking about, how would AI mean something? I've been in your class and I see how I could use it to program, recreate, and I think that we even use it to design garments. How could you relate this big thing we've talked about to basic everyday thing we do like our Nigerian subject that you know? How could that be an advantage?
As she asked those questions, there are various ways we can look at it. First of all, you have to understand what is happening. First of all, these models or these AI products are trained over time. They're trained on you, on us. They watch how we do stuff and they learn how to do it. In fact, the whole model thing is sort of structured after the human brain, how we learn. So, as an individual, you also have to think, what about your biological AI? So what he was saying about making sure your child doesn't just rely on this physical machine and forget to develop their biological AI is important to think about. Going back to what you said about, or you asked about vocational, how can AI help with the vocational skills? So the other day we went to a restaurant to eat. Okay, it wasn't part of the DMI about, but we went to eat. And we sat there, and a robot rolled down. The waiter said, choose your menu. We chose our menu, and there comes a robot rolling down to us. The robot was singing, I got to move it, I got to move it. We're like, what? The thing came to our table and stopped. I was blinking. I looked at my wife, I was like, what's happening? It's a robot waiter. Okay, as it was blinking, it was indicating to pick the food from the first tray. So pick the food. Wow, we're like, wow, okay, this thing is really close to home. So my take there is, I think every individual should think about how they can learn this AI stuff in order to do the applicational stuff. Because it's going to change. If you think, okay, all I need to do is learn how to drive, there's AI robots, there's AI that will drive. If you think, you know what, they can't cook pounded yam. Trust me, there's an AI robot that will cook pounded yam and actually pound it with mortar. Just like wait. Some people thought, if you're a waiter, this thing can't touch you. It's happening. So my take about it is, just think about it like every other tool. Like, it's just like you come to the city and you say you don't know how to use computers or a phone. It's almost not believable. It's almost like, what are you doing that you can't use phones? Same thing. Think about this AI as a tool you need to use. You need to use that tool, or you can't really perform in the future we're getting into. Second thing we have to notice, there's a guy called Elon Musk, and he's worried that at the way that the AIs are going, we're going to achieve AGI. Don't want to go into that, but basically that they're going to be as intelligent as we are, probably more intelligent, which is scary, but not so scary. And he thinks that we should enhance ourselves. So my take as well is, use the tool again so that we can be able to compete or at least participate or interact That's my take on it.
So in